No tekyali campaign lwafuuka lutalo. Tuli wano, tuliwo mateeka. Akulira akakiiko k'ebyokulonda gwe bayita byabakama amanyi tulina okubeera wano. Amateeka gamanyi.
What is happening on the ground right now is hell. The regime has once again unleashed brute force. In the beginning, they first blocked us from using the main roads, sending us to only the dusty roads. And we embraced it because we know that there are so many poor people in the villages, and we took it as an advantage. But lately, they don't allow us to use neither the main roads nor the feeder roads. They follow us everywhere, and they keep tear gassing us along the way because crowds keep gathering on the side of the road, and I move on top of the truck, talking to them as we move. Now they have confiscated all the sound system. They've arrested more than 400 people of my campaign team. Largely 90% of my campaign team is in prison right now. I'm not allowed to use the radio stations have been blocked from hosting me. But lately, even in the assembled rallies, the police launches tear gas canisters into the rallies, dispersing them. It happened the day before yesterday. It happened on Monday. It happened on Tuesday. And it happened yesterday on Thursday. The police initially claimed that my team that we raided the police car and we robbed the car keys and computers. Of course, these are heavily armed police officers and military officers that keep following us. And on another occasion, they alleged that we actually assaulted police officers. Now, the majority of them have been charged for inciting violence. Now, anybody that is called, because our symbol is the Uganda national flag. We decided to use the Uganda national flag in this election because we seek to unite the people of the country, the people that have been divided deeply for 40 years. We are succeeding, and everybody holds the national flag as a symbol of solidarity, as a symbol of nationalism. However, now anybody found holding a national flag on our campaign rally is perceived to be supporting me. You must have seen the police dogs unleashed on our supporters that came for our rally, tearing them, digging teeth into their flesh. Their crime was to support me and to don the national flag. But as of Wednesday night, they were 415. Yes, 415. But now, I've not yet heard from our human rights desk to learn how many were arrested yesterday, because yesterday, once again, the police descended on our rally, dispersing it, tear gassing people, harming people. There's one man who was shot with live bullets in the legs and was rushed to hospital. And numbers were arrested, in fact, dozens. So we are here to establish the current number now. Very many. Every day, we get a call of somebody who has disappeared. Even those that are in prison today, for example, Alex Waiswa Mufumbiro, the deputy spokesperson of our team, was arrested. He was first abducted, missed for a day, and then later we learned that he had been dropped at a police station after immense demands, and so is my entire security team. But those, at least we know they're in prison. There are those that are missing that we've never known where they went. For example, we have 18 families of our missing comrades. But those are the ones that have the confidence to come and report. Otherwise, the majority are intimidated and they're silenced. their characteristic behavior of rounding up political opponents, switching off the internet, getting the military to take over the election like it is happening now, having the chairperson of the Electoral Commission come out to descend into the arena. We have reliable information that the regime in Uganda is planning a massacre akin to what happened on the 18th and 19th of November 2020. They are planning to provoke people into an uprising so they can get opportunity to massacre people in cold blood in order to send a chill across the country. That is what we've been informed by reliable sources. And we hope that the international community takes interest in this massacre before it happens. First of all, it has been 40 years of General Museveni. General Museveni has been ruling our country for 40 years. Almost 90% of our population have never seen another president in their lifetime. So the massive yearning for change. This support was equally there in 2021, only that they were suppressed under the pretext of COVID and suppressing crowds. They were not allowed to express themselves. Now, because we started our campaign trail in the remote areas in Uganda, we were not attacked immediately because probably the regime thought we did not have support in the countrysides. However, this did not only shock the regime but us as well, because hundreds of thousands of people, especially young people, turned up to support across the country equally, not in any particular part of the country, but across the entire country. This I would target to massive desire for change. I would target to tiredness against the regime and rejection of General Museveni's corruption, misrule, and massive rampant unemployment. First of all, yes, the regime in Uganda seems to be playing into the usual dictator's playbook: arrest, torture, violence. General Museveni prides himself in violence. He claims to be the master of violence, and he has demonstrated it. However, also, the situation in Uganda seems to be rejecting violence and seems to be rising up against the violence, the state-inspired violence. About us, we know that there are various things in the playbook of the oppressed people, including violence. However, on our table, we have removed violence because we don't believe in it. We believe that it only, creates more violence. Therefore, we are relying on people power and our friends across the globe. We believe that if the international community, if the defenders of democracy across the world rose to the occasion, raised their voices, maybe the people of Uganda would have their shot at democracy. I see a bloodbath because General Museveni knows only violence, and the people of Uganda seem to be saying enough is enough. And if General Museveni is not called out and stopped from massacring people, this is somebody that is not shy to slaughter people and mow them down like grass, and he has demonstrated it in the past. So I think the world needs to pay attention to Uganda. And it's not only about Uganda. The more impunity is tolerated, the more impunity is given a leeway, the world is going to be more in trouble, and democracy across the world, most importantly in East Africa, is going to be eroded. You saw what happened in Tanzania recently. thousands of people, according to reports, were killed, and it is almost swept under the carpet. So we think that the world needs to stand, not just with the people of Uganda, but with democracy in East Africa, in Africa, and in the world. It is reported that instead violence is exported from Uganda to other countries. We have reports of Kenya and Tanzania and many other countries. So in many ways, Uganda is an exporter of violence and impunity to many parts of East Africa and Africa. The international community stop being partners in crime. The businesses and the corporations that operate in Uganda under these circumstances, under the prevailing circumstances. For example, some companies are even used to turn off the internet, to turn off the network, and to even spy on the opponents of the regime. We would love to see them, because it's a responsibility not to defend us, but at least not to be used in the oppression of the people of Uganda. Would also like to see, development partners and friendly countries, stand with the values that they profess, because many times it disheartens Ugandans to see leaders of non-democracies being the ones, endorsing a non-dictator, and, it goes away like that. We think that the international community needs to stand by the values that they profess. Everything is tilted against us. We are the main opposition political party, but a while ago, even the funding that we are getting from Parliament, a funding that is statutory, was scrapped off by the regime to ensure that we go into this election bankrupt. And indeed, we have gone into this election without posters and without campaign material. We only put it on the internet, and our supporters across the country have gone ahead to print the posters, and we found them pinned everywhere we go. We did not do that. However, I must say that even the chairperson of the Electoral Commission has descended into the arena to the extent that he came out criticizing us for saying we are carrying out a protest vote. 2 days ago, he came out and said against the law that nobody is allowed to observe the election. After voting, they should go home and wait for the announcement on radio. Now, that's against the law because our Presidential Elections Act provides that citizens who finish voting or others that have not voted should be at least 20 meters away from the polling table in order to observe the election. That is what we've been calling upon people to do. But the military has come out and warned people not to observe the election, not to be anywhere near the polling stations. Whoever votes should go. They are warning against cameras on polling day. Generally, they are as if laying ground to rig. We say we are only relying on the people because I know by election day I will probably be under house arrest or be in some jail in the countryside. And I know that by election day, my entire campaign team is either going to be arrested or they're going to be running for their freedom. I'm aware that the internet is going to be switched off, the radios are going to be switched off, the journalists are going to be arrested. So that and more, we cannot say we are fully confident about our efforts. We are only calling upon the people of Uganda to exercise their civic rights and take the election in their own hands. Most of the media has been silenced. The state media, of course, is reduced to propaganda tools. The main newspaper, the New Vision, is a propaganda tool, and so are other newspapers. Thankfully, we have social media. Now, we are not allowed to be hosted on radio stations. Every radio station that hosts me is either cut off or threatened to revoke their license. So it has been a challenge on various fronts, but we are thankful that there's social media, and we largely run our campaign on social media, TikTok, Facebook, and X. I would say those that ignore what's happening in Uganda are in many ways complicit to it, because this is gross, this is inhuman, and anybody that works in Uganda or has relations in Uganda or operates with Uganda, I think has a responsibility to call it out. I know that there's a lot of pressure even on the investors, but they have morality, and most importantly, they need to understand that this is also in their best interest to stand with Ugandans. Otherwise, the Ugandans, in my view, are determined to free themselves, and they know that it is not only their oppressor and the sounds of their oppressor and the guns of their oppressor, but also the silence of the moral voices that would have spoken up. It's a betrayal of their conscience and of their moral duty. We shall continue doing the right thing, the moral thing. We shall continue being nonviolent, but we shall be assertive. We shall continue encouraging the people of Uganda to rise to the occasion and demand for what's rightfully theirs. Good enough history teaches us that those that have stood on the right side of history have eventually won in the end. We believe we shall overcome. Thank you very much, and God bless you.